we have the beautiful Palesa with us. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm really looking forward to the event.
Oh, thank you already. Already? Seriously?
Really, because we need different events around Stokvels. There's so much not explored when it comes to Stokvels and other players.
We were chatting earlier on about some businesses feeling that the SLC conference is putting the ball way too high, and they feel Stokvels are extremely low. What's your feel on that, actually?
So I actually think it's a good thing to also target the middle class and higher LSM because we have seen over, especially the past 5 years, growth in the higher LSM Stokvel industry. All along, we've been concentrating on lower LSMs and the typical ones that we grow, and they also... businesses know how to deal with that LSM, and they've always made it the same way over and over. And that's why the higher LSM has found it harder to jump on the boat more, because they've always thought, okay, it's only for lower LSM, only for the poor people.
Exactly.
But I've got a lot of stories where I've seen entrepreneurs, professionals participating in Stokvels. They might not necessarily call them Stokvels.
Correct, exactly.
Investment clubs, crowdfunding.
Investment clubs.
Yeah, whatever you want to call it these days. But as they say, they all Stokvels just went to private school.
And that's why we feel that if we up the level of conversations and even the face of this thing, I think we're going to see a much better turnaround, right, for the country, for the continent, and a lot more people would be more willing to invest more, because there is also a level of transparency. But let's talk about transparency in Stokvels, because we want all of them to come on board and join us, obviously, on April 17 and 18 in Melrose Arch. Someone said Melrose Arch was too opulent.
Yeah, but it gives a tone that which types of Stokvels you're looking for. Exactly. It does give the tone. Look, when I'm doing a grocery Stokvel workshop, for example, I probably wouldn't go to Melrose Arch. Correct. I'll go to Soweto in a community hall. So everything needs to talk to the targeted audience, and in that, so that you can be relatable. So Melrose Arch, you are literally saying investors Stokvels, business Stokvels, funding Stokvels, property Stokvels, because truth is the people that are in those are in a middle and higher LSM type of and there's also opportunities in that LSM also. But most importantly, there has been a need to also attract higher LSMs type of individuals as Stokvels, actually to solve some of the biggest problems that need people that can contribute maybe a lump sum that is much higher than a lower LSM would be able.
Which one is your preferred Stokvel?
Hey, now that I'm in
you said you have 6. You belong to 6 groups. Oh my God.
So I always joke this was leading the word for property Stokvels, that the reason why I have stopped associating myself with a certain Stokvels is because I belong in so many. When you talk about this one, they think you prefer that one more than this one. So I'm the voice of all Stokvels, because I'm like the facilitator in the middle of between Stokvels and a lot of stakeholders. So I'm able to relate for both. But I belong in property Stokvels because I am interested in property as an investment. I love traveling, so I also belong into a travel Stokvel. I love investments, so I also belong into like a Stokvel that invests in the JSE.
Yeah, I feel like you belong to all the intelligent ones.
No.
What if you get Tumelo to come in and join our party here? So you joining the party, bro. Cool. You're not late. It's a podcast. We are really looking forward to your contribution towards this discussion here.
Thank you, Patrick.
There's been a lot of discussion when we put out the SLC conference. People looking at it say, you guys are going way too high out there. You kidding it? Stokvels are not there. They bottom of the pyramid.
Yeah.
So the question is, the middle class and we're seeing a lot of working class that are joining big multinationals, and folks are belonging to Stokvels now. Folks are looking for ways to, make better investment with their money collectively.
Yeah.
The question is, why are we still seeing stokvels until today as this low end of market only, bottom of the pyramid only?
The best way and the most safest way of banking has been stokvels. So let's start there. So we find these exclusive financial systems that banking companies give us, but back in the day when
There was no
not
ways.
included,
Yeah.
stokvel was the easiest form of group saving.
Wow.
That is one. Two, you've got many industries that have come down and succeeded and crashed. But you have a tax industry that has been running for years on stokvels. We'll unpack that more.
He's a smart guy already. Patrick taxi stokvels.
We will really unpack that more. But
Yeah.
we see stokvel as one, a granny's thing.
Exactly.
Where they do
Exactly.
this. I've heard property stokvel. I've heard traveling stokvel.
Correct.
I've heard house buying stokvel.
Yeah.
For me, stokvel is the fundamental banking system of the marginalized in a country where exclusion was massive. If I give you what the stokvels can do, which will be my input later on,
Yeah.
you will see that stokvel or group savings could even beat deposits at banks
Definitely. By far.
by a long
By far.
But because we're not combined, we're not united, we're not seeing the same vision.
Correct.
And because trust is the biggest thing.
Trust is the biggest problem in that space, definitely. What do we have to do then?
That trust is not there because we put our money with you for a long time. It grows, and then this is the fundamental of the tax industry. It's just trust. So that after a while, Patrick thinks, no, yes, this is my money. Somebody always says, you know what? It's like don't ever work with people that see themselves alone in the mirror, because as we progress, you see your face enlarging, and you eventually see yourself alone in the mirror. If trust was there, Patrick, we would be massive. There's a 560 billion expenditure
Wow.
in the township,
560 billion
annually.
Wow.
And if we checked how much goes to Unilever,
No.
you now get a massive far, right?
Yeah.
But if we opened,
By the way, we want you guys to come, Unilever. Come into the...
if we had a lot of BB cash carries, a lot of stuff that Mr. or Dr. Aponya had that grew, and we stuck to buying from ourselves, and that's 560 billion circulates within black people.
But are we not also underservicing our own people? Maybe that's why our own people don't want to buy from us. Are we not giving them less quality versus when they step out of, the hood, going to a nice mall and realize that no, we underservicing our own people when they trust us with their money?
I'm going to say no.
Okay, good.
There's Mr. Price. They put a shack as a shop to
Correct.
the market. That is disrespectful in my view. So we don't underserve ourselves. We're just not bold enough to do the big stuff that the big corporates are doing.
Palesa, what do you feel?
I do feel that there's a lot of, because of our history, there's a lot of distrust. There's a lot of also, I think the working together thing is such a big thing. And there's been some that have really tried, and you see the movements are working, like cooperatives.
Correct. Exactly.
Try something and see how it can grow from there. But you see, because there's not a lot of tried and tested initiatives that are like that you can actually copy from or learn from in terms of trying to simulate something similar. It becomes a bit harder, and it becomes a trial and testing thing in that manner. But I think theoretically, we've always said with our mouths, oh my goodness, together we can do 1, 2, 3, we can build malls, we can bring solution to this. But when it comes to actually practically doing it, are we bold enough? Are we willing to try and fail and they still try again until something actually comes out?
Isn't it as well the legal framework of stokvels in general that do not allow us to trust each other when we're getting ourselves into each other? Last week I was interviewing Tepo, and one of my questions is, if I don't know you and you started a Stokvel, how much trust do I have on you? And, Stokvel responded quite well. He says, we're building a legal constitution that kind of is kept by us, which is independent, Maybe those are the kind of things that makes me, who doesn't know even the creator of the Stokvel, to say, look, I can trust the platform, maybe not you, but that means that I can now put my money into a vision that you, as the creator, had. Isn't that also the legal framework that kind of push us out of, this whole thing of growing together collectively?
Then I have a question. When you put deposits into banks, do you know the shareholders?
The legal framework of that contract I sign when I open a bank account is my safety net, and it's backed up by government.
What if the bank goes south? What if those that lost money in Sambo and those other banks back, did they get? I think we've only got a cent in the rand. So I think it goes beyond that. I think we just have to. It goes beyond that. Trust element isn't about who I know. Where is it going wrong? We just don't believe in ourselves,
folks. I feel like this is becoming very philosophical, and it's a mindset problem we're facing here. And I think during the conference we need to have some speakers that address the mindset before even getting into Stokvels, because if we don't inspire ourselves to believe in ourselves, then I think we already have a problem right there, and we can't grow in that perspective, right?
So in my studies, I'm trying to still look at the neuroscience and new element of decision making with low income consumers, which is most of us, right? We just not
not you LSM 20.
In the journey,
started from the bottom, 90s here.
And you gotta decide how does one decide? I mean, there's a point where I need to decide between buying a Coke 500 milliliters or a taxi. If I walk, I'll just drink Coke and just be refreshed, or do I take a taxi? Those are choices that you have, right? So once we start to understand that the decision-making process of consumers, then we understand why choose X to Y, right? Why do people go there and say, I want Omo and strictly Omo and nothing else? Therefore, why then do I trust a brand with my money but not trust or put a high-risk instrument with our money, but if it goes to a Stokvel, it's because Stokvel, we see it as low risk. I think what I put in, I'm just putting it away from my wallet to somebody else to get something else at the end or whenever.
Correct.
So my mind is not tuned into we are going to invest and stuff. That's why when we say investment in Stokvel, people go, because wow, okay, so we're going to invest money. What if we lose it? But if you say Stokvel for grocery, they're saying I'm putting my money in to get food at the end. So maybe we must change the concept of maybe even change the name. Because
the name has been problematic.
Because everyone. Yeah, because the way that the name Stokvel itself has its own inherent view of what it means.
But we can make it look cool.
I think we can.
We can make it look.
I actually had to fight to call my
rebranding it, and that's the effort we're trying to put. And we're getting a lot of pushbacks from some corporate that feel we're going too far with it. But if we don't rebrand this thing here, we will never trust ourselves.
Yeah.
It's all in the image we're putting out there. Use the best faces, look good, put in good young faces that trans and stay consistent in the service, right? Because at the end of the day, we're competing against, global platforms as well and global ideas, not just platform, global ideas as well. I mean, your taxi idea is incredible. Now imagine one day Uber comes in and say, Uber Stokvel. That we can all contribute towards that. I think we're shifting all the budget away to another country that is not going to benefit our own people. And that's exactly why we feel that there is a lot of work we have to do around even the name. It keeps on popping back. And the question is, why do we want to keep it only low LSM? Matter of fact, they are aspirational market, right? If we make it trendy, make it look cool, make it look nice, they would adopt. They would join. They don't have a problem putting 10 Rand of their money while you putting 100 and another guy putting 1,000. but the 10 rand still fits in the economy. But if we don't, then we're always going to get stuck around this thing here, right?
But also, Patrick, think about it. The banks, when they have stokvel accounts, they give most ridiculous rates, like nothing.
And that's how we did.
I might as well, put it in my house and sit on it and wait for December. So now when I make it cool,
I've been fighting with banks for that.
They give you 4%.
Correct.
Also the benefit, you see, for the longest time, especially where financial services are concerned, they've been taking stokvels as these lazy deposits.
Yeah, correct.
They're just there. At least they are guaranteed capital for us. So let's just see. Now that there's new guys in the market, your stokvelers, your apps and whatever, I feel like now the traditional banking system are waking up to what are we bringing, how can we benefit a stokvel that does that? It used to be so bad, guys. You'd find a grocery stokvel maybe getting 1% in a deposit, thinking nothing, and that's at end of the year they go buy groceries. And then you'd be like, but you're such a big corporate as a bank, why not collaborate with another wholesaler where you can actually say this stokvel, since you're giving them such little things, like give them benefits out of it. Also now, how maybe the name thing also come into place is that when a young person, they think of stokvel, they thinking of a mama,
correct,
grocery,
burial,
correct, and whatever, and they think that's how things are still being done, like they were done 100 years ago. How do we change from then? It used to be from all stakeholders, but obviously we have to start from somewhere in terms of perception, in attracting the kind of people that you want to, would make a difference in the stokvel market. Is definitely also changing the perception of there's so much you can do within the industry besides burial and groceries. And they serve a very great purpose, by the way, those old traditional stokvels.
Definitely.
But what we haven't explored is the fact that these investment stokvels, they also serve their purpose and they've got their market, and their market is not necessarily a mama in a grocery stokvel. Right. But if we are still calling it a stokvel in the investment thing, it might still click and saying, then are we buying groceries while we are doing investment stokvels? So there is a lot of work in correcting the perception around the word. For example, I thought, and because I was targeting higher LSM when I was writing my book, but then they were like, no, but don't call it stokvel.
It sounds so weird.
Like, call it investment clubs. I'm like, no, I actually want
the traditional
I actually want the word stokvels because I want to show that there's so much more you can do with stokvels, even with the changing times. There's no point if we are boxing it to what we know of, we are saying we're not progressing. How are we going to find solutions if we don't work together?
That's completely right. Tumelo, one thing that is popping in my mind is, if we meeting this barrier in terms of adoptions, is there anything you're having in mind in how we could possibly cross that border? So let's talk first about your taxi stokvel, because that's something that I think all our viewers and listeners are curious about, because I punted that in the media. Someone is coming to talk about taxi. I mean, guys are coming with crazy idea, guys. That's why we want you guys to come to the conference to discover all these ideas.
As corporates, check the value chain. Find your place. Don't try to change it. Don't try to amend the value chain. To find your spot in that entire value chain. Now, here's one story that I went to see in Chukuma Market in Venda. If you come out of Toronto, the Mama say, vegetables there. I think I was talking to one lady, there were 1,000 of them. They save 300 rand a day. I don't have my calculator to do that. And this is purely for educating their kids, right? If you look at the bulk of the people from Toronto or the Venda area, they go to ECT, right? Now, we were doing the calc. I think a year with 300 rand a day from each mama there who's selling there, they say, they can take about 120 kids to ECT a year.
Wow.
But who's banked in there? Nobody.
Nobody, obviously.
Because nobody wants to understand their psyche and thinking They want to say, okay, guys, there's money, take the money. No, understand how, why, and they do it. And then figure out the what.
That's amazing.
No,
I like this.
you see, so no,
The psychology of the why behind it.
no exec in Sentin is willing to go and understand why they're doing it and how we as corporate fit ourselves in there. We want to say, okay, guys, you are here, you've just done a massive collection because you don't know how to do, bring us your money, and then we'll give it to you at the end. No, there's a psyche there. That's why you find that the same mother has got 4 kids. One is a CIO at Stanlib, one is two are twins, they're medical doctors, one is an exec at APSA, but still sells the fruits there, even when the kids are still doing this well. There's a psyche there that we as corporates need to go and understand.
Wow, that's amazing.
And once we get that,
like that.
so that's one part. Similarly to the tech industry, there's a psyche, right? People talk about digitizing. Do you understand the value chain of how this thing works? That the owner owns the asset. He's in partnership with a driver who drives growth and revenue, right? But there's no salary agreement. There's no paid month on month. Nothing. It's I'm giving you my taxi. I want X amount of money
Per month.
per day.
Per day.
The balance goes to you. So if you put in a merchant machine, the balance per day doesn't come to me anymore. Therefore, you are messing up my income.
Correct.
So why then would I want to digitize?
Good
Understanding.
Because the key guy isn't the owner who owns the asset. The driver is the key person
Correct.
who drives this industry. Therefore, if the driver is unhappy, the income that doesn't come, the owner can't pay for the taxi every single month. But because we have KPIs to
Wow, guys, this is
to drive this thing,
You're not even
insight based, guys. This is the insight we want to the conference. Wow.
I mean, one of the banks that I used to work for put like 10,000 merchant machines in taxis, and they had one swipe. What happened? That the drivers pulled out that connecting port thing. Says, guys, this thing that doesn't work because it does not serve the ecosystem.
Exactly.
And the bank lost millions of them just that because they just never thought about the ecosystem.
But Tumelo, what are we doing? Us from the hoods, we remove our corporate hat, get into that industry and say, we think we can understand that and do something for the community, irrespective of the bank.
Sure, I wish I was still an entrepreneur, but
Well,
I'm saying,
well, your idea can help a viewer out there. I'm not a Stokvel that can solve that.
so for me, whether it's a Stokvel game or crowdfunding game or any sort of integration or innovation, the people, us who live in the township, understand the market more than Sentin does.
Correct.
So I travel in a taxi. Possibly my father has a taxi. My uncle has a taxi. So I understand the psyche of an owner.
Correct.
I sometimes as well, maybe my core growing time has been working for my dad in this.
Correct.
So I understand the system. So why not open a company and sell the system or be an aggregator or whatever you want to call it between the bank and the taxi industry and be the guy in the middle? Because you are able to speak the language that they understand.
Correct.
Who are our fathers.
Correct.
These are our fathers. They're not just guys, they are our fathers. We understand what they want. We have been able to go to school. We can speak the language that corporates
Understands exactly.
yields.
Exactly.
Returns, all these things. That are we talk that language. But for that, we just say, Baba, all I want to do is just help you to buy a taxi at 10,000 rand less.
Wow.
Which money comes back
That's incredible.
in your hand.
Yeah.
We want you to be able to say, okay, fine, when the taxi is finished, what plans do we have to either fix it up or sell it or increase the fleet? This is how I'm showing you.
Correct.
As a connector, to the bank, you becoming that entrepreneur that's now making money in between, right? Stokvel the same way and this is what Capitec did, man. They found people who work in the communities who communities trust, and they put them in the branches. Therefore, you ask your son or your neighbor's son about advice about your card be giving you hassles who works at Capitec. Therefore, the trust that Capitec has today is that community trust. Is that they don't employ people in a community. If there's Capitec here, like there is now here, they will employ people around this area. And we trust people around this area. So if I say to you, Patrick, my card isn't working, as black people, we never talk about money in the streets. But if we don't. That's what we don't. Money is about a glass thing. Because it's private. It's private. And the time we learned that. You can't, as black people, we don't talk about money in public.
Palesa, let's talk about some nice Stokvel you guys have met over time. Some creative ones, some cool ones.
I recently met a community, actually, they're trying to do a solar Stokvel.
What? I'm seeing it on Instagram a lot lately. How does it work? Is it marketed? Do you think solar then next to your town or what?
No, it's just what I like about Stokvels mostly, and this is what I've seen also growing up in a Stokvel home, is how much it's inclusive for those who can't afford also. Inverters are expensive, solars are expensive. Are we saying that people that can't afford those, they must suffer in load shedding forever? And just concentrate with those who can afford. So it brings affordability. So they are saying, guys, if we can just be patient 6 to 12 months and actually buy a solar. So it's not necessarily we are buying you this. They are putting a savings method in thing. I'm saving for myself, for my own solar, but I don't have the capital to do it. So I'd rather save it with a company, for example, that actually manufactures the solar. So I'm gonna be getting a solar straight from the manufacturer, and I'm already putting money to it. So you're saving straight to that. It's like a lay-by, but you're using a Stokvel. So why is it a stock, or are they calling it a Stokvel? Is because the more people come and save this way, particularly for solar or inverter, then you get a benefit. I think there's a referral fee that gets in there at the same time, which you can use also to put in towards the saving of the solar that you are trying to do. For me, that is quite a solution that is very inclusive and of my individual need, which is economic problem right now,
right.
But also it's making an affordability for somebody who can only afford this thing from a community of a certain thing, and that's how they're gonna work together. Say, guys, let's save for the solar, and then we're gonna think. I thought that is a new tip. I hope it's gonna work. I'm trying to help them formalizing of that. But I like the fact that it's inclusive of people that don't necessarily have 40K lying around to buy that thing. It's actually
does it draft price down as they contribute together?
Yes.
From a price point to 40 or down?
One thing Stokvels that I have learned from the traditional ones is a negotiation power.
I see.
Like if we are coming to a solar manufacturer and there is 30 of us and he's selling them but with 30,000, we can negotiate to sell it for 25,000 because there's many of us, and like, so you get bulk discounts when you get into these things. These things are the things you can actually use Stokvels effectively, and the bargaining power when you are getting the solutions, the saving mechanism when you don't have the capital, but also solving a actual problem.
Solving an actual problem. That I think is exciting. I think this was a good podcast. We can't wait for you both to share incredible other insights during the SLC conference. Do you probably have something to say to our viewers out there, listeners on podcast? Inviting them probably. We want to see your folks to the conference as well.
Yeah. For me, I think if guys in corporates looking to think differently, see things differently, and maybe get insights around just the concept of understanding the psyche, neuroscience of how consumers think. I mean, the panel's got some definitely dope guys who've been around. Come listen. Come listen. Come invest in yourself. I mean, it's not a loss. What you're doing, you just invest in yourself. Come through, listen, and also take that opportunity to network post. Exactly. You don't know what you can get from there. Exactly. Yeah.
I think it's about time to have such events, especially that are so targeted into how can Stokvel people or people that are working together work together instead of silos, and how they can partner with each other, and most importantly also from the corporate side, how they can partner with these Stokvels, because they do. When you are going to be working with a group of people, especially Stokvels, strategy shouldn't be in the board. You should actually understand, as well as saying, what they are doing into them, and hear from the horse's mouth what they're trying to do, then bring it back to the board and see how you can solve for that. So that's an opportunity to do that when you go out, when you participate in such events.
Indeed, and for me, it's going to be an incredible opportunity, guys, to see the continent grow. I think for us as, the organizer, we strongly believe that we have so much power in the continent, so much power in our people, but we constantly fail our own people in things we say like trust, platforms we can make it easy for people to join, ideas that are not, going beyond the herd. And you see it a lot, I ran a lot of campaign in the past where I went into the hood and just listening to young people. Oh my God, some incredible idea. They'll never reach the boardroom. Never. And I think these are opportunities where we are putting now these ideas on boardrooms table and say, look, that guy is actually doing a livestock wealth Stokvel. Have you thought about that? How can the financial sector or the retailer even think of partnering up with them? Yes, probably there's only 200 people, but these guys are pushing so hard, at some point, there'll be 2 million people. And probably take out the whole retailer, right? Because they will have their own value chain, which is actually great for our own people. So for us, it's really about putting these connections together and making sure that we're teaching and, educating people about the future of our own economy in our own hands.
The education part of it is very, very important.
It is.
From both industries.
Correct.
It has been lacking for you.
Correct. So thank you. We're excited. Thank you very much. That's it for today. You take care. Cheers.